Hello, this is Lucas. Welcome to another CSS video. In this video, we'll go over colors and how we can actually use colors to change the color of our text, of our background, the borders, and so on. So I have this paragraph made and I added a bit of CSS. I just changed the size just to make it bigger, and I just changed the weight to bold, so it's just easier for everyone to see. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using a couple of ways to change the color of this. Now the example that I'm using here is we're going to just be changing the text, but we can use this to change the color of anything. The background, the text, the border, as I mentioned. But just for this example, we'll use the text. So to start off, we'll be using just the normal text. So we'll just do color. And then we can just pick any color that we want. Okay, so let's say I want to just change it to cyan, for example. Then I'll just save that. We can go back and we'll change the color to cyan. Now this is fine, okay, but let's say that we want to get a specific tone. So you can see if we hover over this, we get this RGB. Okay, so that's the next thing that we're going to be doing, is we're going to be changing the color with the RGB format. Now the RGB format means the very first number is the red, the second number is the green, and then the third number is the blue. Now you can hover over it and you can pick it here, but if you don't want to do it this way, the way that we can do it is we can open up this little chart here that I have. And this explains it very well. So we can pick any color, and you can see it's 175 red, 34 green, and 34 blue. Then we can just change this around, and then these are just the values that we have. So we can copy these values in here. So let's say that we want to get this kind of color right here. So this is the color that we want. So the way that we'll do this is we'll write the color because we want to change the text. And then we'll do RGB. Okay, and now you can see by default it be put in red, green, and blue, but we want to change these numbers. So what numbers did we want to change it to? We wanted to change this to, so it's 22, 15, 229. So 22, 15, 229, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So if you save that, we go to our page, and then you can see that that's the color we change it to. Now we can do one more thing with this, and we can add the opacity. So let's say that we want to add a 0.5 opacity. By default it's 1. Okay. Now if you refresh this, you can see that the opacity goes down 50%. Obviously if we put it to 1, there's no point in doing that because that's just the default. But if you put the opacity down to 0, for example, then we might as well not even have the text because the opacity will be set to 0. We won't be able to see it. Yeah, just change it to 0.5 or 0.1, sorry. Then you can see we can barely see it. So that's what this last number is. It's the opacity, basically. Now the other way that we can change this color is it's the more optimal way, I think. And the way that we'll do that is if we go back to our page here, you can see that we have this number here. Now this is just a hex number. We can change the color of anything by using the hex, which is, I think it's the most suitable and most efficient way of changing the color because we can get it very exact. So if we copy this number, let's actually change. Let's change it to this kind of green here. And what we can do is we can just copy this number, and in our CSS we'll just do a hashtag. And then we will put in that number. And then we can just go back to our website and you can see that this color changes. As simple as that. Now the very last way that I'm going to go over is, it's called the HSL format. Alright, and that we don't actually change. So this isn't the best way of doing it, but we still can do it. Alright. So let's say we want to change, so we'll do HSL, and in here we will specify the color that we want. Now there's three parts to this. The first part is the actual color. Okay, and then the other two parts is the saturation and the lightness. So the way it works is the very first number, it's a range from 0 to 360. 0 is red, 120 is green, and 240 is blue. So 240 to 360. So let's say that we want to have our color at green, for example. I like the color green, so we'll do 120, which is green. Now, you can find these numbers online, right? But 0 is red, 120 is green, 240 is blue. So I'm going to do 120. That's the color that I want. Now, the next part is the saturation. Now, the saturation is measured as a percentage. So let's say I want the saturation to be at 100%. Then we'll just have to write 100%. The third part is the lightness. Let's say I want our text to be 50% lightness. We'll just do 50%. So if we go to our website now, you can see that this is the color that we have set. So let's play around with this a lot. So let's say that we want our lightness to be 100. Now if our lightness is 100, that means our text is just going to be white. Right? We won't be able to see it. Same thing, opposite way. If it's 0, it's just going to be black. Okay. 50% is just the normal. Okay. There's no added light or no decreased light. It's just the normal. Then 100, we have the saturation. Let's change this up. Let's put this at 50. Let's go back to our site. Now you can see that it's at 50, just so we can easily see the difference. Let's put this back to 100. You can see that the lightness change. Now the very last part is just the same as the RGB. We can add the very last one, the very last point here. We don't need to add it, but if we want to, we can, and that's just the opacity again. So we just set at 50%. That's what the 0.5 is. We go back. Now you can see that the opacity is set at 0.5. So that's about it for colors. I hope this video has helped, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.